heartfelt welcome to our panel discussion centered around the theme of digitization of English language teaching, challenges and opportunities. We are delighted to have you all present, whether you are joining us physically or connecting from various corners of the digital landscape. As we convene for this discussion, our collective focus is on navigating the intricate terrain of digitization in English language education, exploring the nuanced challenges and promising opportunities that define this tough transformative era. Each of you brings a unique perspective, experiences, and insights to enrich our dialogue, and we eagerly anticipate the meaningful contributions that will shape our discourse. Today, our goal is to cultivate an environment of open dialogue, reflective thinking, and collaboration. Beyond identifying challenges, we aim to celebrate the vast opportunities that digitization offers for enhancing the English language teaching experiences. Thank you for being integral to this discussion, and I am enthusiastic about the insightful and enlightening conversation that awaits us. Let's commence this exploration into the digitization of English language teaching challenges and opportunities. So there are a few panel discussion rules. You have to be show respectful conduct, manage the time, and engage in active listening. If you wish to speak or ask a question, please raise your hand or use the designed virtual raise hand feature. Address your questions or comments to specific panelists whenever possible. Stay on the topic and make concise remarks. Respect time limits. In an in-person setting, please use microphones provided for clarity. Avoid interruptions. No disruptive behavior. Follow the instructions and guidance provided by the moderator. Respect the privacy and confidentiality of any sensitive information. Engage respectfully online. After the discussion, we encourage participants to provide feedback or share reflections to help improve future panel events. By adhering to these rules, we aim to create a constructive and enriching panel discussion that prompts understanding, collaboration, and the exchange of valuable insights. Thank you for your cooperation. Now I'd like to introduce our panelists. We have distinguished panel of experts chaired by the esteemed Dr. Farzana Masroor. Our panelists include Professor Dr. Muhammad Umar Farooq from CAST, Dr. Mia Khurram Shehzad Azam from National University of Modern Languages, Dr. Maimoona Abdul Aziz from Namal Faisalabad, and Dr. Akifa Imtiaz from Fatma Jinnah Women University. Yes, sir.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. Since I will be chairing this session, so I would begin with the introduction of the theme, that is digitization of English language teaching, challenges and opportunities. I'm delighted to have with me Professor Dr. Muhammad Umar Farooq from Capital University of Science and Technology. He is head of the department right now. He has vast experience in ELT in the form of course development, teaching, holding conferences, and publishing research in the area. He is a PhD in applied linguistics with specialization in CAL, teacher development in open and distance learning. My second panelist is Dr. Mia Khurram Shehzad Azam. He's head English department, English language teaching department at National University of Modern Languages, Islamabad, Pakistan. Alongside this, I would like to introduce him as carrying great passion for forging out new ways of teaching and learning, with a great interest in staying abreast with recent technological developments in the field. He is supervising researchers on the use of AI in language classrooms. Dr. Akifa Imtiaz is head of the department at Fatma Jinnah Women University. She is ELT specialist. Alongside that, she has a passion for staying abreast with emerging technologies in the field. Her research interests include 21st century skills and ELT, educational technology, computer-assisted language learning, and computer-mediated discourse. Dr. Maimoona Abdul Aziz is head of the department at Namal Faisalabad campus. She is an ESP practitioner and has a burgeoning interest in technological developments in ELT. Since you all know that we have come to that era where use of technology is unavoidable, but that has with itself advantages as well as disadvantages. So I would begin from my first question to my panelists, that is targeting these advantages and disadvantages. So in what ways has the rapid digitization of teaching methods transformed the traditional classroom experience, and what are the key advantages and disadvantages associated with this shift? So I would like you all to have your views on this particular aspect. I would like Dr. Umar to.
Thank you very much for inviting me on this very important topic. Just before the panel discussion, actually, I and Dr. Khurram and Dr. Akbar, we were just discussing about the digitization in Pakistan at Higher Education Commission. So basically, we were the partner in a committee that was constituted by the Higher Education Commission, and that was the first committee on CAL under the umbrella of National Committee on English. Yeah. And we started thinking about introducing technology in the English language teaching, and there were certain training that we conducted across the country. So that was actually the beginning of introducing technology in higher education. But now I can see that all the universities, and especially at the Air University, so there is a transformation, and that is the actual picture that we thought about at that time back in 2004. So this is the implementation of technology in real life situation. So when we talk about the technology, what I think is basically that there are four aspects when we talk about technology. That's a digital teaching material, and then the tools and the digital delivery and the autonomous learning. So all these aspects are basically the components of the digitization of English language teaching. Now, the focus should be on all these aspects, but unfortunately, our focus is mostly on the classroom teaching. We need to think about the other three aspects as well. And I think that there are certain universities that they have started working on these aspects as well. Digitization has transformed actually the whole scenario of language teaching across the country, and especially at the university level. But it should be at the lower level as well, not at the university. When the students join the universities, naturally, they must have some background in technology as well. So we must introduce these techniques or the tools at the school level as well. So of course, there are advantages and disadvantages as well. So of course, there's a long list of advantages, but when you think about the training, the teachers to use the technology in the classroom, so that is a problematic area. So I think this should be given a focus to train the teacher to use the technology, especially the digital tools, not only in the classroom, but beyond the classroom as well. So, yes.
Thank you, Dr. Umar. Dr. would you like to add something? Thank you, Dr. Umar. I would like to ask Dr. Mia Khurram to have his say on this particular aspect of technology in ELT.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Thank you very much, Dr. Seva. And thank you very much, Dr. Umar Farooq, for reminding us. I can only speak of my age, so forget about the age of my colleagues. When we started that in 2003, that was the time when we actually we struggled with the digitization of language teaching in Pakistan. At that time, we only had 42 public sector universities. And digitization meant at that time that somehow convincing the administration in the universities to allow English language teachers in the computer labs. So static Pentium 4 or Pentium 3 computers in computer labs, and English language teachers struggling to get into that, not finding slots in the timetable. And we from the trainer side actually visiting the colleges and universities, convincing them that yes, language teaching can be digitized. And I think in the last 20 years, what we have seen, I'm not sure if I can thank the pandemic for that, but certainly everything became digitized. And somehow in language programs, anybody who could do something with the Google Classroom or the LMS or the CMS was a tech guru. And everybody just looked up to him or her, that that's the way to use the language teaching. And certainly the programs and the tools and the applications like Duolingo and other things. I think the journey that we've seen in the last 20 years, it's incredible, but it's also has its challenges because somehow we did not focus on inclusivity. Something that digitization of language teaching talks about going beyond this digital divide and including everyone. On a very apolitical note, it's fine that you give these laptops to individuals who have scored well, but I think somehow we need to introduce the student loan program, that if someone enters the higher education program, the universities and the colleges can actually add that money into the fee, just like library fee or transport fee, and the individuals can be equipped with these university-specific devices. But Dr. Saab has just mentioned, language teaching, language learning through digital tools is not restricted to the classroom. It goes beyond that. And the digital literacy is part of it. So for me, digital literate individuals, be it the teachers or the students, they are the ones who are actually capable enough to carry it forward. That's from my side.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Miyapuram, for your valuable insights into the times when you thought that this needs to be here in English language teaching. I would like to also know Dr. Akifa regarding her insights into this ELT and technology component and its advantages and disadvantages.
Thank you very much, Dr. Farzana. Assalamu alaikum, everybody. Okay, so now taking forward Dr. Umar Farooq and Dr. Khurram Shehzad's points, I must also mention the time when we started nationwide trainings of computer-assisted language learning from the platform of Higher Education Commission. That was, thank you. Just as Dr. Saab just mentioned, that was the time we had only 42 universities, and mostly our target universities were public sector universities. And you can very well imagine 16 or 17 years back, the condition of the resources, technological resources in those public sector universities. When we used to go to those universities, I can still remember that the course was actually about, the training was supposed to be about how to integrate online and offline resources into their language classrooms. But for the first day of the training, we used to end up training the university and college faculty about how to use a computer, how to create a folder, how to delete a folder, and in many cases, how to create their own email address as well. So, this was the point from where in Pakistan we started this journey. And today, after like 2 years of pandemic, there has been a total paradigm shift. And now today we are talking about generative artificial intelligence. This is where we have reached in these 16 or 17 years. And I see this as a positive sign that at least this is one area where we have made some progress, even if slowly. At that time, like pre-pandemic times when I used to, even in 2016, 17 and 18 years, when I used to go to different institutions for training purposes, I mostly like 30 to 40% of the participants, I felt some kind of resistance from them. I always felt that. Resistance to change, resistance for, not thinking of a plan B, just saying outrightly, okay, ji, internet band ho jayega, to hum kaise padhayenge? Computer, bijli chali jayegi, to kaise padhayenge? So we also had to, I also had to convince them that plan B साथ रखा करें अपने ना, ठीक है, technology is not to be trusted. But there was a totally different experience in the year 2023. जब मैंने इस from earlier this year, I again started these trainings. People, zero resistance from the participants, zero resistance from the students. Can you tell why? क्यों zero resistance आई, zero resistance to change? आप लोग बता सकते हैं? Because of pandemic, because automatically we adapted and adopted the technology. So this is the change that I have observed and I have experienced. Coming to the pros and cons of this digitization, so many pros: quick feedback, collaborative, interactive learning, global awareness, and but there and it also caters, online learning also caters to various learning styles as well. But there are some cons. Tech inequality, just as Dr. Saab just mentioned, distractions, over reliance on the gadgets, and then again working in isolation, no face-to-face interaction. So these are some drawbacks that comes to my mind. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Akifa. I would like to invite Dr. Maimuna for her comments on this particular theme.
Thank you, Dr. Farzana. Assalamu alaikum, everyone. I would like to agree with most of what has been already discussed here. What Dr. Omar Farooq actually set the domain for what kind of digitization issues are we having over here, and what are those different types. So other than, I think, moving up with some online resources or accessing online resources, it goes way beyond that. When it comes to classroom administrative tasks that are being performed by our teachers, and I think the incorporation of multimedia, the interaction tools that we used to, that we need nowadays. So it spans over all these areas, not just for the access of material or for accessing or using the apps that are there. So I think the digital divide that we have been talking about, it has taken a lot of time to fade away. And but with time, we can see the type, and COVID, of course, it became one of the main reasons for speeding up the process of digitization, particularly in Pakistan. What I feel the need is, what I feel the change is that the teacher training that used to be given to most of the teachers when I started teaching was way different than what it is now. So we used to train them for evaluation. We used to train them for classroom techniques, teaching techniques. And now it's way beyond that. So there are workshops that are being held online and on campus, and they are focusing on introducing new techniques and tools, AI techniques and AI tools. So which actually brings us to the reason why we are all here, gathered here today, not just to ascertain the significance, because that can be seen through and through, but rather to come up with what kind of challenges are being faced nowadays by the teachers, by the students, and also the kind of opportunities that AI is providing us in the field of ELT. So there's a long list. Quite fortunately, when I was listing them, I found more opportunities as compared to the challenges that we are facing. So perhaps because we have overcome a few of them, and just a few of them are left. But areas such as the opportunities that it is providing us is that we have the system integrated AI adaptation that we are now focusing on. We do not need to get to know computer as a subject, as computer science, but rather we need to learn it for survival. And it has to be integrated in the teaching system. So it's compulsory for all the English language teachers to adopt it. Then there are some good opportunities for keeping up with the biliteracy and for translanguaging, because these are the areas that are now being discussed, and they are a part and parcel of our daily, everyday teaching. So I think AI is giving us this opportunity to keep up with these two, we can say, trends of keeping up with biliteracy and keeping up with both the languages and multiple languages simultaneously, because most of the AI is basically in English. And then there is a lot of classroom collaboration. There is increased motivation because of the visual aids mostly. And then there is expanded vocabulary that the students are now exposed to. And one thing that actually I need to highlight is the transparency in attendance and in evaluation, because now these things are all online and on LMS and on different Google Sheets that we are preparing. So it can be taken help. And then less calculations for the evaluation processes, because the AI is doing the job pretty good. And for the heads, I think there is a better chance of monitoring the classrooms and the courses as well, because now everything is online. So I think it gives us a better chance to do it. And as far as the challenges are concerned, which I would like to talk about afterwards in detail, there are some potential distractions both for the teachers and the learners, because during the classrooms, time and again, we are using our devices which are being used for other interactional purposes too. So we do get distracted a lot. And then ensuring that there is equitable access, specifically in the outskirts of the city, not just the main city. That is also one issue that we are facing nowadays. These technical issues, they are really frustrating when it happens. And like Dr. Akpa just recommended a plan B for that. So we usually have to make 2 plans before entering a classroom, which is a lot more work than usual. We need to redefine the roles of teachers and students. We have already had our keynote talk on that for a very long time. So the role has been reduced to a moderator rather than of a lecturer. There is sometimes minimized face-to-face interaction, which creates some kind of challenges for the learners. And sometimes they find it too harsh because there is the human element they find missing. So these are the issues that I'm facing, and time and again, there are applications coming. We don't want to rely on these, and deadlines are deadlines. The teachers are not moving it because the system doesn't allow. We are actually dealing with this generation, which is AI, which has actually AI acquired, while we ourselves, I would like to call ourselves as AI learned generation. So there is a gap that we are trying to fill in. So I would like to talk about these more once we shift to other questions, and then hopefully we'll continue with that. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Memuna, for extensively talking about this theme. Now, coming to our current situation, we being in Pakistan as a third world country, and we all know, just like Dr. Umar mentioned, Dr. Akifa mentioned, that we were constrained with the resources all the time. And then there is an aspect that is significantly attached to this idea of going with the technology, that is called digital divide. Digital divide means that technology is not accessible to everyone, and not all the tools are readily available to everyone. So are we facing these issues? Because I would like to read the next question, that is, the digital divide remains a significant challenge. What strategies or initiatives have you found effective in bridging the gap and ensuring equitable access to quality education in a digital format? So definitely, I would like you all to point out certain indigenous cultures that you have in your universities and how you are facing this digital divide and overcoming it. Dr. Umar?
All right, let's just have a look at the concept of the digital divide. The traditional concept is basically the access to the ICT. And when we just go through the history of the digital divide, so we can have different waves, all right, of the digital divide. For example, the first wave was basically the rich who have the technology and the poor don't have. And then the second wave, yes, both have the technology, but only the rich have the ability or the skills to use that one. And then the third wave was basically the both have the technology, access to the technology, but the rich have the tools and how the people to use them, whereas the poor have just access to the technology. And I'm afraid there would be another wave of the digital divide that's going to happen in near future. That's the AI. Now, again, it's basically to access to the AI and tools as well to use the AI in a proper manner. And another, the poor will have just access to the AI. All right, just we have a session in the morning that how to use the chat GPT and just to prepare your assignments and copy them, and that's all. But we need to develop our skills to design the digital tools as well and how to use them. So this is basically, I think, that we must train our teachers to create the content as well, to use the digital tools as well. And the second thing is very important that the government must design some policies of incorporating the technology in the syllabi as well. So it should be the part of the syllabi, not only at the university level, but at the school level as well. Also, the institutions must encourage the teachers and the students who can use, who can design the content, digital content in their context. So these are some of the suggestions that how can we bridge the digital divide.
Thank you, Dr. Umar, for pointing out the strategies that we can use to eliminate that. So I would like to invite Dr. Niyapuram to talk about this issue.
Thank you. I think agreeing with what Dr. Umar has said, just another perspective from my side that for me, digital divide is not gadget specific. Digital divide is digital skill, digital literacy. It's not these cost of the gadget that actually determines that if you can access it or not. I'm not talking about someone buying a MacBook and someone buying a higher laptop. It's nothing to do with the quality of the device. It's actually the function of the system that is functional on that. And I think the digital literacy is something that probably, in my perspective, that will actually address this issue of digital divide. Chat GPT as a kind of application is available to as cheaper mobile device as one can think of. So access to AI is now, in my opinion, is kind of shared by everyone. It's just only that who are the developers, who are the ones who know the coding, the new language of the next generation, who are skilled with that, and the others who don't. But for me, in digitization of English language teaching, learning, it's not the gadgets, it's not the individuals. Just reference, again, not to my age, but I think we've seen in Star Wars, we've seen in all those of you watched the movies of Back to the Future, Michael J. Fox, actually experiencing those futuristic gadgets. And that was considered as science fiction. Now we all have these. Now we have talking watch. We have wearable devices. So it's not about the gadget. It keeps on changing. Technology keeps on moving. It's actually the way to use it in a language learning environment within the classroom and beyond the classroom. So that skill is going to be more important rather than that we rely on that who has the device and who does not have the device. Thank you.
Very well said, and that is why we are here, in order to eliminate that divide. So I'm really thankful that we have all gathered here as a community to talk about these issues. I would like to invite Dr. Akifa for her comments on this.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so in my opinion, firstly, there are certain steps that can be taken on the community level as well as the state level to decrease this or lessen this digital divide. One could be the infrastructure. The internet shouldn't only be available in the urban areas, but also in the rural or even the neglected parts of the urban areas as well. For example, DHA2, right? Okay. So, and apart from that, internet hotspots should be available at public places. if somebody cannot afford to buy the internet dongle, they can go to any public place. Yeah, our ancestors, our parents and grandparents used to tell us that we used to study under the street lights at night. So I think that time should come back, and there should be public hotspots at all public places, internet hotspots. Then device accessibility of devices should be offered on affordable prices, and then device recycling program. Just as we have these other refurbished cars, what do we call them? Reconditioned cars. So there should be reconditioned device program as well, in which the students can buy these devices on cheaper rates. And then there should be a digital literacy program, just as Dr. Khurram just mentioned. Not only the students should be given digital literacy, but also their parents as well. Sometimes what happens is that parents do not know, they don't have awareness how their children are using the internet. Yes, internet is a very good resource, but it has its disadvantages as well. So for the parental control, parents should also be given training about in digital literacy. And then content accessibility, curriculum should be adapted, and it should not only be available online, but it should also be available for offline purposes as well. I mean, it should be downloaded and it should be available online for offline for those students who have limited access to their internet. Here I must mention my students in my university who are from Gilgit Baltistan, and in 2020 when we went online, those students were at such a disadvantaged position, because they did not have internet in GB, and everything was online. The classes were online, and either they did not have access to the internet or very slow internet. And one of my students, she used to go walk more than a kilometer away from her home at one spot where she could catch internet signals. So these are, and one of my students, she had this internet dongle. Her father tied it to a pole, put it in a Coke, that disposable Coca-Cola bottle, and tied it to a pole on the roof of their house, so that it could catch the signals. So this is the effort that our students are doing in the areas where internet accessibility or gadget accessibility is not easy. So these are the areas, I think, on which we should be focusing on to lessen this digital divide.
Thank you, Dr. Akifa, for giving the wonderful solutions for eliminating this divide that is countries such as us might face in very near future. Dr. Maimuna, would you like to add something to it?
Yes, since we have highlighted a lot of issues already here about how this digital divide is there. I would just like to add one point here, which is based on my experience in Nawal Faisalabad. So most of the users of internet, most of the students and teachers now, they have what we call, they have their gadgets, they have the internet connections, but sometimes, they need to be directed. So about when we say about digital literacy, we are basically highlighting the fact that they know how to use these devices for all the purposes that they are interested in. But when it comes to taking classes online, or when it comes to sharing materials, then they start having issues. So this is just the a little bit change of direction might add a lot to their understanding and their education. So that's all I would like to share. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Maimuna. I would like to add here that my daughter, she is in BS first semester, and she's one of those students who would like to create content on their own. But then she fears that don't want to share this content with others because others just copy and paste and use these AI tools to generate it. So my next questions pertain to this very factor, that is with the use of with the rise of online learning platforms, there is increased emphasis on student self-directed learning. So how can educators facilitate meaningful engagement and foster a sense of community in the digitally equipped teaching scenarios? So what we mean by this question is that since students might get autonomous and we have not trained them how to use it, just like, for example, in driving, students, we have to learn driving and then we go to road. But these devices are in the hand of the students without knowing that what to use and what not to use. So this self-directed learning and how it is going to facilitate meaningful engagement, what we as a community, as teachers could do to enable that. So that's the question.
All right, okay. There is a close relationship between the students and the teachers. So before we discuss the student self-directed learning, so naturally we need to look at the teachers' competencies as well. So in this era of AI, what I think that three skills are compulsory when we look for a good teacher or a competent teacher that must have the technological, pedagogical knowledge, skills, and the digital competencies as well. This is how he or she is going to impart that self-directedness into the students. On the other hand, they must study the students' pattern of technological use as well. So there is a variety of students in our classrooms. So there are students who have access to the technological tool. There are some they don't have. So a teacher must have, so instead of considering it as a whole group, so each student must be considered as an individual in the classroom. So accordingly, the teacher should design certain strategies in the classroom and beyond the classroom as well. And the second thing is about the multimodal call environment. These days we have not only online, but they are embedded with different kind of gadgets as well. It's not only we're relying on the AI, but we are going to have a very compact model, which includes the videos, the audios, the outside classroom activities as well. So we must consider all these aspects when we design or when we direct the students for the self-learning as well. The last thing is when we think about the 21st century skills also. So the most important thing in the 21st century skill is the critical thinking. So that critical thinking basically leads to the self-directedness as well, and the students also. And sorry, one more point is that we must equip our students with IMT. So that's basically, I is basically for the information literacy, media literacy, and technology literacy. All right. So all the students must be equipped when we direct them towards the self-directed learning.
Thank you, sir. Dr. Khurram, would you like to add, please?
I think as we move with the previous questions and the discussion here, I can probably say that the audience, including us on the panel, we are not taking elitist approach. We're not saying that probably it's a given that everyone should have it. Digitization of language teaching does not mean necessarily distance education. We are also talking about digitization of on-campus teaching as well. We are probably considering digitization of campuses, enabling students and teachers with the environment that they are able to use that digital literacy in terms of all kinds of education that's involved, and more specifically with this particular context of the conference, the language learning. Now, language learning is a complex thing. We understand lexicon and syntax in a different context as we move on to the second language. So yes, I totally agree that we have issues in terms of technological divide. Dr. Sabha just mentioned the issues that were faced by, and probably still, by the students of Gilgit and Baltistan. And as Dr. Maimuna mentioned, that some of the students probably are not, they have regression in the classroom. how to actually enable the curriculum for the skills, the digital skills of the teachers, and also for the technological ability, that what you call the for the low band width areas as well. So something that enables individuals to whatever gadgets they have to use it, rather than rely on just the excuse of having a device or no device, having an internet connection or no internet connection. It's the skill, it's the pedagogy, it's the learning attitude that the teachers develop within the classroom and beyond. For me, that's more important, uh, rather than having a very costly gadget to show off. It's just not the show off, it's just the skill of using that device. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for mentioning the attitude that really matters while we are embracing technology. So Dr. Akifa, would you like to add something to it?
जी, बिल्कुल. Self-directed learning, in my view, is a strength, because this is Generation Z here sitting in front of us, and STL is one of their characteristics. They can't do away with it. And it is your strength. But as a teacher, as an educationist, what we can do is that we can harness this strength of yours and give and show you the way how to positively use this this SDL characteristic. For that, we can, as educationists, we can establish clear communication channels, may it be an LMS or ये आपके WhatsApp group or any other social media platform where the students have easy access to their teacher, and they can, and also they can interact and collaborate with teachers and their peer group as well. And then also we should hold regular meetings with the students, create a welcoming online as well as in-person environment for the students, and try to give them the activities which are focus on collaborative learning. The projects, small projects and tasks that encourage collaborative learning. We can, if using any online platform, Zoom's breakout rooms can be used for a student. I mean, our students can be divided into small groups, and they can work in breakout rooms. Yes. And then feedback and assessment. All kind of assessment. जितनी assessment मिलती है ना इन students के साथ के ऊपर अप्लाई कर दे, फॉर्मेटिव, समेटिव, क्रेडिटेड, नॉन क्रेडिटेड, सरप्राइज टेस्ट, हर चीज, ठीक है, सो दैट they should be on their toes all the time. They are not going to like me now. Then there should be peer motivation, peer monitoring and support, and very important, reflective practices. There should be sessions with the students where they should be asked to reflect on their teaching practices and discuss them in their peer groups or with their instructors. So I think these are some of the steps that can help in channelizing the STL phenomena in Generation Z.
Thank you, Dr. Akifa, for linking it with the concerns of the students. Very rightly pointed out, they might be disliking us, but maybe we need to sort out certain ways in which we can assess you in a better way. Dr. Maimuna, would you like to add something to this topic?
Yes, I think being a teacher and being also looking at the administrative issues that we are having, both they center around some different kinds of trainings that are required in this area. As far as my teachers are concerned, teachers who are working in my department. So I think it's very important to clarify or it's very important to make them understand that there is a change in the mode of communication, be it formal or informal. So that, I mean, that can be implemented in the classroom as well, in the teaching of English language. We have had applications written, we have had letters written and essays written, but having formal portals and where to say what, how to write, what exactly. For example, we have LMS and all the materials that are the teaching materials that are available over there. So instead of sharing them in different WhatsApp groups, and those WhatsApp groups, sometimes they comprise of only 2 to 3 group members, and sometimes the whole class is there, which is not as formal as the LMS portal where everything is accessible, not just to the students, but the teachers and the administrators as well. So I think guiding them towards using these formal platforms would make a difference. And when we talk about self-directed learning, it is again the direction that needs to be smoothened out. If we see the, I mean, theoretically speaking, the community language teaching theory, I mean, that can be really useful nowadays when it comes to having groups and forums where different things are being discussed by the teachers or the students themselves. So we give them a topic, and then they are, contributing to, talking about the topic. And also, I think be it individual or be it group activity, both of them can be used, but just a little bit of direction is required over there. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Maimuna. So we have discussed certain advantages, disadvantages, and the aspect of digital divide, and then how self-directed learning can be made more meaningful. My next question pertains to how or what kind of practical aspects that we can include in our classrooms. So AI policy has been formulated, and Air University has already moved on this path of integrating AI in our learning environments, including from the classroom teaching to the assessment methods. And then if you look at, our existing learning management systems, such as Google Classroom, so we have certain applications that are there. Let's say Google Meet is there, Zoom is there. So there are a few opportunities that are already existing. So my next question pertains to looking ahead, what emerging trends and technologies do you believe will shape the future of digital education? And how can educators and institutions prepare to embrace these innovations effectively? So what we mean by this is that just like Air University has its AI policy, and we have asked our students to carry out assessments by making use of AI generative technology. So similarly, what are those trends and technologies that we can inculcate in our classrooms that would shape future for our next generation? So Dr. Umar.
All right. A very important question, and I think it's the last question, I think. All right. Yes, the linguistics landscape and the digital landscape both are changing every moment. All right. And we must ensure, all right, and we must know what changes are going to take place. Of course, with the linguistic landscape and the digital landscape, the social practices are also changing as well. What we can do, I think that I have just 4 suggestions, rather 5. The first thing is we must focus on the curriculum. We must upgrade the curriculum. We must include technology or the digital content in our curriculum. And we must train the teachers as well how to use that digital content in the classroom and outside the classroom. The second thing is research. We must conduct research, just like this is a conference, there's a conversations that's going on. So we must have a very collaborative platforms as well. We must share whatever we know and whatever we are heading towards. The next is that every university must have a strategic plan as well. Strategic plan including the use of the technology, or how to include technology in the curriculum, in the teaching, in the classroom, how to ensure the availability of the digital tools as well. And the next thing is that, of course, we need a positive or encouraging environment as well. The students or the teacher who want to use technology in the classroom, so they must be encouraged. Rather, they are discouraged in some of the universities that I have observed. And then, yes, there are 2 things that we must try, I think, when we talk about the trends. We must work on the digital textbooks. Now, the digital textbooks doesn't mean just converting the printed material into the PDF format or available online. No, that must be digital, that must have access with the material which is available online, wherever it is available. And the second one of the tools that I was just reading this morning is the eye tracking tools. Now, when we ask the students to go for online learning, so how much time they have spent, usually they just log in when we talk about the online classroom or the Google Classroom, and they log in and then they just disappear. Now, through the eye tracking tools, so we can assess how much time they have spent on the screen, how much time they have worked on the screen. All right. It's not only just play a video and then they just go away. So I think we must introduce some of the new gadgets and the tools as well to supervise the student activities when they are online. Okay. Yes, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Umar. Dr. Miyapuram, like to add something to it?
Thank you, Dr. Sabat. This is probably the last question, definitely, but I think the most important question that we have. As a teacher, as a father, my concern is many times now. And I think those who are part of my generation, probably our parents did not have this feeling. I'm excited and I'm also frightened because we've been talking about for the last, say, 10, 20 years, 30 years, the audio visual aids or the technological aids in language teaching. And even that transformed into CMC and CAL, or technology enabled language learning. Now we are into totally different situation, absolutely a different situation. It's not application specific. It's the transformation of linguistic landscape, as Dr. Saab has just mentioned, and the technological landscape. It's not about chat GPT. The next day we will have, or we already have Grok from X, or there may be other AI communicators as well, conversations engines. For me, the concern is that the prime thing that we used to own as human beings has been, and probably still is, the language. Our experiences of the world, our human experiences converted into language. And that's the expression that we had. Now we do not have an aid. We have an intervention. An intervention is of AI. AI that mentions that this is the meaning of the word as understood by the humans. So suspicion is that probably that particular machine or text generator has some other meaning of it. So probably we need to have a kind of a paradigm shift in terms of the semantics and pragmatics of the way machines perceive texts. Machine understand the lexicon, machine develop the syntax. And the way it, if I can call it it, thinks that that's the way humans do it. And the humans think that that's the way machines do it. That makes situation very complex. As I said, frightening for me and also exciting because I'm sharing my language with an interventionist that is a non-human, understanding things from a non-human context. So whatever machines, whatever applications, whatever gadgets, whatever strategies, for me, it's a continuous flux, is a continuous transformative stage where probably my linguistic experience is not the same as is of my kids, because they are also getting that linguistic experience from a non-human context. And they understand language in a totally different way. I cannot force my context of human experience on their understanding of language. And that's the problem the teachers will have very soon in our language classrooms as well. It's all right. We'll be teaching about the 16th and 17th and 18th century literature and the 19th century literature as well. But the way we move on to this generation's post-human literature is going to be really tough for us. So I do not have the answers. Probably all of you great thinking minds probably can suggest something. I don't have an answer for this question. My only suggestion is that we need to readjust to the position where machines are equal partners. Maybe. Thank you.
This might require lots of mediation because teachers' autonomy is under question right now. And what to learn and what not to learn is again a big question. So Dr. Akifa, would you like to add something to this particular aspect?
Yes, in my view, the future is of generative AI, and it's a huge giant that has been created. And pretty recently, the person who is called godfather of artificial intelligence, he resigned from Google because he got again because it things were getting out of his control. He thought that this artificial intelligence, eh, it's a huge giant. It's a giant that I have created. So it's scary, yes, just as Dr. Saab has mentioned. But for that, we as students and educationists, what we can do is let's harness it to our own benefit. And for that purpose, firstly, let's give awareness about AI ethics. What is ethical in using AI and what is not ethical? There should be policies by the institutions. Dr. Saiba mentioned that Air University has formulated their policy. That's wonderful. Um, um, uh, I mean, the policy should clearly state about, inform about the academic integrity and ethics, and what are the do's and what are the don'ts for using artificial intelligence in academia. And of course, please, universities, give training to the faculty. Why I am stressing faculty training? Because our students are 2 steps ahead of us. They know technology more than we do. So we have to, keep their pace for that. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Akta. Just like you pointed out, there is a need to take concrete steps towards this aspect. Dr. Maimuna, I would request you to enlighten us on this issue.
Thank you. Just a few more additions. I agree with what Dr. Karam has pointed out. We are one generation that has actually seen this progression or experienced it the most, perhaps. So yes, things are not the same for the upcoming generation as it has been for us. But actually that works in our favor for some reason. I always find it. We for in our institution, we are taking very small steps in order to bring about some change. I agree that the curriculum needs to be shifted likewise, which might take some time. But temporarily at the moment, we have introduced, for example, the first 15 minutes of every lecture, we have introduced for student grooming through use of AI and we talk about these different sets of ethics that they need to adapt and how and to what extent they can use these tools and gadgets for educational purposes. So this is just one small step, and I do believe that I also believe that the teachers do not need to step back, but rather we need to step differently. So I won't call it stepping back from the role of, being a teacher and reducing it to just a moderator, but rather to, step into a different realm of AI and see how we can aid them further or direct them further into accessing good resources and into using different forums and different gadgets for their educational purposes. Thank you.
Sorry for just one line, actually. So basically, that's very interesting discussion in response to the last question. So this reminds me one of the quote that says that mediocre teachers tells, good teachers explain, and the superior teacher demonstrate, but the great teacher inspires. Now, the first three tasks may be performed by the AI, but the fourth one is the human characteristics. So this is how we can deal with the AI threats or the intervention. Thank you.
I've been given prompts that we are running short of time, so I'd just like to summarize what we have just discussed today. Because AI is here and we have to embrace it, and it has come with lots of advantages and opportunities, such as it provides us a personalized learning experience to the students. It has enabled us to carry out global collaboration. It also has certain interactive learning resources that are handy for our students. It also gives us adaptive assessment tools to the teachers, plethora of tools that we can use in the classroom. It can also provide us innovative pedagogical approaches in which teachers can teach in a multiple way. Then there is a multiple ways in which we could do immersion of language with technology, just like in the morning keynote session, Dr. Warner talked about that. So along with these, we have also challenges such as access and equity is a challenge. Technological infrastructure is missing from our institutions. And then teacher training is something that we need to focus on. And that is why we are holding this conference, and maybe we can generate more discourses on this and empower each other. Quality of online content can be something that we need to be wary of. Another thing that is digital literacy skills. We need to inculcate that in our students as well as teachers. So I would like to wind this discussion up, but one or two questions we can take before we move on to our next talk by Dr. Akifa. So only one or two questions.
I have two questions from Dr. Akifa. You talked about Z generation. So there are certain challenges that these are also faced by X and Y generations. So I think we should talk on that as well. My second question is related to your international exposure, as you have already attended international and national workshops and summer schools and all that. So I think our audience should get to know about the workshops or the opportunities, because the title is Challenges and Opportunities. So I think that you may, if you want to tell, you may tell about the opportunities that they can avail to get national and international exposure, and they can attend workshops, summer schools, or the free trainings or paid.
I think the problems faced by generation X and Y are fossilized now. They have no solution. Just joking. Yes, the problem, just as Dr. Saiba mentioned, that we are Generation Z are the digital natives. They were, when they acquired technology, they are so very savvy with all these technological gadgets. We are not. We are digital immigrants. We learned this technologies. That is why at times we struggle while using it, or we struggle while understanding all the pros and cons and sensitivities of this technology and all these gadgets. This is one issue with our generation. वैसे आप generation Z से हो, my generation, ठीक है? Okay, and coming to opportunities, yes, conferences like this, these are a great opportunity which are provided by our institution. Attend these conferences, learn from the presentations that various experts are giving, and for the next one, send in your own abstracts for a presentation, and attend these workshops, learn from them, learn not only the skill, but I mean the content, but also learn from the style of the resource person, how that resource person is delivering in that session. This is how you would get more exposure. Then online, we have Coursera, and I think it's still open. The registration is still open nowadays. It's free. Do find out some short courses, search for short courses there for AI, artificial intelligence in education, artificial intelligence, AI tools for language learning, courses like that, which are directly linked with your degree program, because you are students of English literature and linguistics. So there are a number of such courses there. Keep an eye on your university notice board or your department notice board, where your teachers keep on posting various announcements for for conferences and workshops and trainings that are being held in universities in Rawalpindi, Islamabad area. ज़्यादा दूर नहीं जाना है, तो यहाँ पे तो access is very easy. Then we have so many search for online webinars, free webinars. There are, they are also there. Internet is for you. Don't waste your time, or all your time using Insta and Snapchat. Spare some of the time, hardly 40 minutes or 50 minutes for any webinar as well. So this is how we can, initially, this is how we can do our professional development as students, professional and academic development, and as academicians as well. After that, after getting some years experience, yes, send in your abstracts for international trainings, international summer schools as well, and then keep your fingers crossed. Inshallah, you will be called for that too. Thank you.
I think we are running short of time, and I'm sure that you will be having multiple questions to be asked from the panelists. So you can access them through us, and we can, gain answers from them, and they can, in this way, we can reach out. So I would like to come to the closing of this panel discussion. And I would like to thank my panelists, Dr. Umar Farooq, Dr. Mia Faram, Dr. Atifa, and Dr. Memuna for their valuable insights into this particular topic. And we will keep on engaging on this. I think this is going to stay here with us, and we cannot leave this unless we get a hang of it, that how we're going to, swim into this sea of technological developments. So thank you once again. Thank you to our audience for listening patiently to us, and a very good afternoon. Thank you.
Thank you very much, ma'am. So believe that today's discussion has shed light on the complexities and promises of digitization in teaching. It is through conversations like these that we can collectively shape the future of education in the digital age. So here I would like to request Dr. Farzana Masroor, Chair, Department of English, to present shields to the panelists. Professor Dr. Umar Farooq from Capital University of Sciences and Technology. Sorry. Dr. Maimuna from NAML. Dr. Akifa Imtiaz from Fatma Jinnah Women University. Dr. Mia Khurram Shehzad Azam from National University of Modern Languages. Thank you very much. Okay. Now the group photograph with all the panelists. Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, now we have a thought-provoking plenary speech by Dr. Akifa Imtiaz from Fatma Jinnah Women University, Rawalpindi. The topic is Teaching the Teachers, Let's Outwit the Bots. Dr. Akifa Imtiaz is a curriculum designer, professional development facilitator, and teacher researcher. She leads training and consultancy, workshops as an ELT specialist and master trainer for well-known public and private sector organizations in Pakistan, including the Higher Education Commission, RELO, US State Department, USAID, Pak TESOL, and the British Council, to name a few. She currently works as an associate professor and chair of the English department at Fatma Jinnah Women University, Rawalpindi. Dr. Imtiaz holds a research fellowship from the University of Leeds, UK. She is an open e-teacher and an IVLP alumna. She is also a certified master trainer of ELT, blended teaching methods, and CAL. She has obtained TESOL's ELT Leadership Management certification from TESOL International and the TOT certification from the University of Oregon. Recently, she completed a 9-month master's training program at the University of Alabama under USAID's HESA program. Dr. Imtiaz has authored English language teaching and teacher training modules for HEC and the British Council's TELS HEP program. She is also a part of the team of curriculum designers who designed HEC's new undergraduate English courses, a project funded by NAHE and RELO in 2020-21. She is widely published and has presented her research work in Pakistan, the USA, Turkey, and the UK. Dr. Imtiaz is a recipient of the Fatma Jinnah Best Teacher Award and the Research Productivity Award 2023. So please welcome Dr. Aqifa Imtiaz from Fatma Jinnah University.
Thank you very much. I'm humbled. That was such an elaborated intro. Okay. Teaching the teachers, let's outwit the bots. Okay. This session is going to be about AI and the AI scare that we have. AI and you, the students. AI and the ELTs, the English language teachers. The ethical concerns, and us. This is not US, this is us, the teachers and the bots. So these are the few areas that I'll be covering in this talk. Here's a poem that ChatGPT wrote for me last night. For the future is now and the AI is here, with the potential to change our world and our sphere. Let us tread with care as we pave the way for a new form of intelligence to light the day. So what is AI? If we give a very broad and very generic definition, it is a technology capable of actions and behaviors that require intelligence when done by humans. Now, this last part of this definition is very important and a little ironic as well. It requires intelligence when done by the humans. It seems as if the machine intelligence believes that not all humans can be intelligent. Then we come to after AI, after the traditional AI, the era of generative AI has started. Generative AI, it is a type of artificial intelligence technology that can generate, that can produce various types of content. And this content is very high quality content. It could be a text, it could be an audio, it could be an image. And the interface is usually very simple, very easy to operate. That is why it's buzzing around nowadays. So the difference between AI and generative AI, simply speaking, is that AI can analyze the data, that can give you, present the data, but the generative AI generates that data further. It gives extensions to that data and produce and reproduce and keep on producing something entirely new. How many of you have used ChatGPT? I think everybody must have done it. Did you ever experience or experiment giving the same prompt twice or thrice? And every time there's a different response. It's not the ChatGPT does not do the copy paste thing. It always generates a different response. So this is what the generative AI is. This is the main difference between these two technologies. Now coming to the present era of generative AI, it is also the era of fourth industrial revolution, which is also called Industry 4.0. Here in industry, in this era, in Industry 4.0, what has happened is that EdTech, educational technology has emerged as a consequence to Industry 4.0 or of this fourth industrial era. That is why there is always a stress on integrating technology in education, learning new technologies for equipping ourselves not only academically but professionally as well. Now coming to the AI scare. What is AI scare? Can you guess? There is a scare. And then just as Dr. Khurram just mentioned, that AI it's so huge, it's so vast. He as an educationist, as a father, has no idea where it will go and where it's going to end. That is actually the scare. That is actually the AI scare. Now look at all these statements published in various newspapers, and you would love what people are saying about AI. The college essay is dead. Nobody is prepared for how AI will transform academia. Freaking out about ChatGPT wails the headline to John Warner's Inside Higher Ed article. Professors, programmers, and journalists could all be out of a job in just a few years after the latest chatbot stunned onlookers with its writing ability. This happened in November 2022 when the first edition of ChatGPT showed its potential and everybody was stunned. And then again, in 2020, Guardian published an article and it said, a robot wrote this entire article. Are you scared yet human? So are you scared yet human? नहीं? अभी हो जाएंगे, wait करें. Okay. Okay, this is interesting. ChatGPT is a plague upon education. What the winter of 2020 was for COVID-19, the winter of 2023 is for ChatGPT. And higher education will never be the same. This is a scare. Everybody is scared, right? They are justified. एक और भी है. Let's see. Geoffrey Hinton, the godfather of artificial intelligence, recently he's quit his job in Google. And this is what he said. I'm just a scientist who suddenly realized that these things, the AI technology, these things are getting smarter than us, the humans. I want to sort of blow the whistle and say we should worry seriously about how we stop these things getting control over us. Now, this last part of the sentence is very important. How to stop these things getting control over us. This means let's control them, isn't it? I want some response from you. वरना मेरे से नहीं बोला जाएगा if you won't respond. नहीं, तालियां नहीं, मुझे reply चाहिए. Okay, तालियां नहीं चाहिए. I want replies from you. Right? So, I feel as an educationist, I feel that why be scared? Why not harness generative AI to our benefit and teach teach with its help, integrate it into our classroom, integrate it in our campuses, integrate it in our personal learning as well as our, informal learning and formal learning. Agreed? So my question to the educationists sitting here, how many of you have integrated AI into the courses that you are teaching? Great. Good. Okay, right, that's great. And what about the students sitting here? Which tools do you integrate in your don't tell me कि chat GPT से assignment बना के तो copy paste नहीं अब पकड़ा जाता है. Okay, gone are those days. That was a short-lived player. So now I will share you a study in which one of my students who was working on this project with me, what she did was she harnessed chat GPT for English language learning. She harnessed it in a positive way, used it for learning purposes. Mind you, chat GPT is not a learning tool. It was not created for learning purposes. It's a chat bot. Okay? So, but it was used for vocabulary improvement, and I'll just talk a little bit about this one. What we did was that core 21st century skills, the 3 C's, communication, creativity, and critical thinking was the main focus. We designed 3-tier activities for each week. Initially, 20 students were selected from various social sciences disciplines who had not used ChatGPT before. We made sure to, select those students. It was a new tool for them. And each week they were supposed to use, to work on the given activities for 4 to 6 hours each week. And the activities were designed in a way that they were supposed to increase their vocabulary bank. But before that, a pre-test was also taken. So here you can see the results of the pre-test and then the post-test. The results were tremendous. After 4 weeks intervention using ChatGPT as a self-directed learning tool, but controlled by a little bit in certain manner controlled by the researchers. The result shows that the pre-test results, the mean score of the pre-test was 18.08 and the post-test result was 31.33. This red orange bar chart is for the pre-test result and the blue one is the post-test results. So in this way, we tested the ability of ChatGPT that this tool is not just for fun, just for chat or just for fun or copy pasting. Don't mind me saying it, but yes, students have been doing it all across the world, not just you or me, right? So this is what I meant when I said, okay, harness this technology and use it to your own benefit. Then at the same time, this study was conducted in May 2023, right? Then at the same time, a different study was conducted, not the part of this one, but a different one. A survey was taken from the English language teachers, and they were around 28 language teachers, and we conducted a survey and they were given a few questions. I will show you the results of a couple of questions here. How familiar are you with artificial intelligence writing assistant tools? And 48% said that I've heard of tools, but I've never tried them. And only 30% have tried them tried them just for the sake of it, but never used them properly. Then the next question was, how likely do you think you are to introduce your students to these tools? So extremely unlikely, 40%. Why? Why were they not ready to introduce these writing assistant tools to their students? Can anybody guess? Because of the lot of effort they will have to do in making them learn these tools. Acha, theek hai. Or anybody else? In order to leave that divide gap, nahi, teacher itna cruel nahi ho sakta. Okay, right? Good. Anybody else? Exactly, the scare thing. Because the teachers, it was back in May 2023. I mean, the technology, these AI tools, generative AI, they were pretty much new, novel to us. And the scare was still there. The teacher said like 40%, and then somewhat unlikely, 20%, 60% were of the view that they were not ready to introduce their students to these tools. Lekin aage dekhiyega. When they were asked, okay, would they want to learn more about these tools? And majority of them said yes, for themselves, they wanted to learn them. ठीक है, सही है. Okay, so what's my point here, and in the coming part of the talk, is that humans plus AI, humans using AI technology is better than humans humans and AI working separately. They should join hands and they should work jointly. Why I'm saying this? Because as an educationist, the generation that I'm teaching in 2023, it's Generation Z actually. ठीक है ना? And this generation is different. They learn differently from the way I learned, or people of my generation learn. They think differently. They have different. They have access to different platforms and gadgets. Just as I mentioned to Dr. Tehseen that we sometimes struggle working with these gadgets, but Generation Z, they are the digital natives. They do not struggle. So who is the student of 2023 that I and the other educationists are teaching? This is the student who is a digital native, who is very, very tech savvy, who integrates tech not only for formal educational purposes, but informal purposes as well. Short attention span, बहुत जल्दी bore हो जाते हैं. Longer lecture style classes are boring for them. They want instant bite-sized content or interactive activities. So, and hands-on activities that takes make them more interested. Visual and interactive learning, their learning style is more towards visual and interactive. Why? Because of all these social media platforms, which are interactive platforms or Web 2.0 that is there for them. Collaborative learning, global awareness. Yes, maybe some of us might say, okay, my students don't even read newspapers. They don't read magazines. Sorry, that was our way of getting global awareness. We used to watch news on TV or listen to the radio, FM while driving, or read newspapers. Now this generation, they have web. They have this handheld device in their hands all the time, and they can access any kind of information. So yes, they are aware, and they are aware students. They have global and social awareness. And then again, self-directed learning, we have already discussed about it. Let me share one experience. few years back, I started experiencing this phenomena in my classes that whatever like, for example, I'm giving a lecture and I'm teaching, and if I'm introducing some new concept, I would see 5 or 7 or 8 students at once clicking on their cell phones and trying to Google. And basically, when they would hear me say the word that was alien or that was new for them, instead of paying attention to me, they preferred going to the web and checking what it means. So initially it used to irritate me कि ये क्या है, मैं खड़ी हूँ ना यहाँ पे, मैं पढ़ा रही हूँ, पहले मुझे सुन ले. But then I realized कि नहीं, this is their style of learning, this is their learning style, they are more comfortable in it, let them do it. Then I changed my strategy. Whenever some new concept, some complex concept would spring up in a class, I used to tell them, इससे पहले कि वो अपना मोबाइल फोन यूज करें, मैं उनको कह देती हूँ, अच्छा, try to search about it and tell the whole class what results have come up, right? So self-directed learning, this generation, it likes practical and applied, real-world, hands-on activities, excellent entrepreneurial mindset. This is what I have also experienced with my students. And there is a stereotype that girls are not entrepreneurial. I teach in a same gender university. It's a women's university. Excellent entrepreneurial projects come up by our students. And so this generation, they have various ideas, freelancing, starting their businesses, project-based work and all, fluidity and adaptability. Now this student of 2023, because this student is living in the era which is changing rapidly and moving very fast. So this student is comfortable in adapting to change, in adapting new, embracing and adapting new and changing circumstances. Now, as teacher, I have to provide them a learning environment that caters to all these characteristics of Generation Z that I have just mentioned, isn't it? When I say I, it does not mean just I, it means all the educationists. ठीक है, सारी responsibility मेरे ऊपर नहीं है. Okay? So what kind of learning environment should be provided to the students? Incorporate technology, promote collaborative learning, experiential learning, small projects, social entrepreneurship, facilitate self-directed learning, focus on the soft skills, problem solving, critical thinking, all those Bloom's top 3 higher order thinking skills. Create a curriculum, revamp their curriculum, create a global and socially conscious curriculum for these students. Encourage continuous learning and adaptation, promote well-being and mindfulness. Where is all this? The whole environment is taking us. It is taking us to Education 2030. UNESCO's plan for 2030. You must be familiar with SDG 4 on education. किस-किसको पता है SDG 4 का? Sustainable Development Goal 4 on education. जिसको नहीं पता आज जाके उसको गूगल करना है, ठीक है? So in SDG 4, they are UNESCO has set up a goal for all the countries in the world that that they have to give a sustainable, equitable education. They have to provide that education, and the goal should meet by the year 2030. That is why it is said Education 2030. And the Teacher 2030 is the one who is a very up-to-date teacher, who is using technology, who is savvy in using integrating technology in their classes, and who is providing all this, the whole kind of environment for their students that we have just discussed. But for that, a teacher can't just do that. ठीक है, in Pakistan भी आप देखें तो when we complete our bachelor's in English or master's in English, it's understood कि अब हम English के teacher बन जाएंगे, isn't it? So that's a wrong approach, because this degree is not a specialized teaching degree, right? So the teachers, they need professional development, and not just at the beginning of the career, but continuous professional development. After every, let's say, how many years, Dr. Saab, 2 years or 3 years, there should be a refresher course? Every 6 months? उन्हें duty leave नहीं मिलेगी 6 months के बाद. Yes, but the way the times are changing, 6 months sounds logical. So now I will share some reflections from the professional developments trainings that I conducted in 4 different universities in Pakistan. And the the training content that was designed, the focus was on self-directed learning, learner's autonomy, and higher order thinking skills. These are, some of you would be familiar with this slide, this screenshot. These are some tools which were used. These are not all, but some of the tools which were used, which were incorporated in those teacher trainings that were conducted. And these trainings were not only for the ELTs, they were also for in one university. I had multidisciplinary teachers sitting there. So I had to, of course, change the technique for the faculty from all the departments. But in the other 3 universities, they were teachers of English. These were various tools that we worked on, and we also worked on how these tools can be used for, can be exploited to teach language or to improve language on, in a self-paced or self-directed manner. If not in the classroom, then at home. Acha ji. Why do you think we needed to make our teachers to make our teachers aware about all these artificial intelligence tools? Okay, ChatGPT is not the only one. We also have so many others as well. Any guesses? हमने teachers को क्यों train करने का एक project start किया हुआ है? So that they can check the plagiarism of the students, or so that they can update themselves, because it is also important for their personal and professional development as well, right? And because okay, we don't want them to be ignorant of what is going on around them. Okay? चले हंस लिया, मैं आगे चलूं? चलें जी. Now we come to the next part, that is the ethical concerns. When we talked about in the first part about the scare, and then we talked, we saw the results that teachers were back in May 2023, teachers were not ready to share the writing assistant tools with their students. Why? Because the scare was about the ethics. Okay, what if my students will misuse them, and they would be unethical? So there are 2 kinds of ethical concern. One is on the part of the tool itself, and one is on the part of the user. For example, ChatGPT, never use it for research writing. It provides you fake data. It provides you fake citations. So don't use it. By the way, Bard provides accurate citations. Okay. Okay. And then when you try to, when ChatGPT provides fake data and you try to, check the source of information is also fake. It's just generated. It's just hallucinated. And then, yes, these two AI can promote different kind of plagiarism. Just as Dr. Farzana mentioned that her daughter is scared of sharing her work online because somebody else can plagiarize it and publish it from in their name. It can generates fake news, and when it is used to complete academic assignments, it constitutes as cheating. I had 40 minutes. Okay, 5 minutes. Okay, fine. Ho jayega. All right. Before one of my students back in in the last semester, she sent me an email. In my university, students have to work on, for each course, they have to work on a final project. So she sent me an email and she asked me, ma'am, can I use ChatGPT for the analysis of my data? Acha, this is her innocence, na? She did not know that this is unethical. We had not discussed about it. It was back in mere khayal hai March or April ki baat hai. We had not discussed about this in the class, in the university at that time. And she, before taking the help from ChatGPT, she sent me an email. Then I explained it to her, no, this will be plagiarism and cheating. So now comes the duty of the institutions and the teachers, that we have to instill the values of academic integrity in our students. You would be saying, "Ke already hum karte hain." Yes, already hum karte hain when we are for their in-person activities. Now, this AI-related activities are a new phenomenon. So we will again have to start from the scratch, start from the zero again. Here are some suggestions how we can answer these ethical concerns. Educate the students about the ethical concerns, collaborate with them as your academic integrity partners. Do you remember that survey from the ELTs in which they said we don't want to share these AI tools with our students? That was not a right approach, actually, because we have to, give them some level of trust to our students so that उन्हें भी थोड़ी शर्मिंदगी हो ना अगर वो उस ट्रस्ट को ब्रेक करें, ठीक है ना? So a teacher has to be a psychologist there. Develop assessments that cannot be solved satisfactorily by just writing a prompt. You use a range of assessment method to engage the students. And also ensure that there are AI-free assessments as well. And yes, and also when you introduce your students to various AI tools, also assess them, evaluate them in their use, in their ability to use that tool as well, because that is also a skill that they are learning. There is a project, it's ongoing on academic integrity and AI. It's not I and me and two other researchers from Mansehra University, Hazara University, Mansehra. We are working on it. We are taking data from 17 universities. There was this question that we asked, and we got one of the questions I'm sharing, we got 54 responses in October 2023. Dates are important when I talk about these months and dates. Now, the question was that has your institution taken any, has devised any policy on academic integrity in this age of AI, in policy on AI and academic integrity? So These are few of the responses, except 1 out of 54. The others said, either they said, no, we have no idea, university is not working on it, we are discussing, we are in the process. Some say that there is no policy formulated so far. So what I'm trying to tell here is that we are slow in doing it. Many universities, we are slow in doing it. We should do it fast. Now the final word. There are lots of predictions about robots. Bots and asfala part reh gaya tha na, taking over human jobs. There is a chance that teachers will someday be replaced in the classroom by robots if they don't adopt AI and keep up with the latest developments. Students, would you like that? कि teachers की छुट्टी हो जाए और robots आ जाएं? ठीक है, ठीक है. Okay. Now, keeping the dates in mind, there are two polls. One was conducted in May 2023. The second poll was conducted in September 2023. And the question from the teachers was asked, can generative AI replace the teacher in the classroom? So in May, there was 100% no. But in September, there was a 75% no to this question. Why? Why do you think what happened in these 4 months, intervening 4 months? Yes, branching off and the awareness. They got this awareness as well, maybe. The teachers, when they also started using and they also got the know-how of the power of generative AI, then this group in September, they had a different view than the first group that talked about in May. And hey, yes, robots are replacing the teachers. Howard University has hired a robot teacher. So your wish is going to be granted, don't worry. By the way, Tom was the first guy who lost his job because of artificial intelligence way back. And then, dear humans, I'm here to stay. You have to adapt or perish. This is what AI bots are saying to us. So, teachers, heed the digital song, adapt, evolve, and teach strong. In this fusion, let education transcend, a dance where humans and AI blend. And this is going to be the best technique where AI, human intelligence and artificial intelligence, they join hands and they blend together. Thank you, and questions. Easy questions, please. Difficult no.
Assalamualaikum, ma'am. Thank you. It was a good presentation. I would like to ask a single thing.
किधर हैं आप?
Yes.
Please stand up.
Yes, ma'am.
अच्छा, ठीक है, जी. Somebody had their hand raised from the online participants as well.
Yes, ma'am. You have already talked about the digitalization and AI. So I would ask one thing that there are multiple concerns of teachers, particularly ELTs, regarding the acceptance of ChatGPT or other AI tools. So what do you suggest that either they should just adopt this thing or other certain strategies to cope up with these things? Thank you, ma'am.
Actually, this AI is a reality. We cannot close our eyes on it. Okay? Just as I already mentioned that we have to harness it in a positive way. We can use it for educational purposes, and I've showed the project that one of my students did with me, in which students learned new vocabulary after working 4 weeks on ChatGPT. It was directed. They were given various activities to perform on ChatGPT, and the pre-test and post-test results were amazing. So yes, if the academics harness it in a positive way and create awareness among their students to use it for in an ethical way, then I think there is nothing wrong in accepting it. Copy pasting, plagiarizing, cheating, that is what is not allowed. ठीक है? जी
Assalamu alaikum, ma'am, here.
जी जी.
My name is Basit and I'm a student of MPhil Linguistics and Literature. First of all, I'm going to just make a comment, then I'm going to ask my question, ma'am. All the discourse here implies that we are living in a post-human world, right? Where the boundaries between humans and machines, they are blurred, right? To some extent. Because the digital gadgets we use, they act as an extension of our human brain, right? Now we don't have to remember all the numbers; we just save them in our mobile. So this is just a microcosm of you can say a post-human world. So my question is, as the blurring boundaries between humans and machines, they are becoming more and more like fuzzy. So don't you think that our focus on just the ethical concerns only is not justifiable? Because whenever we talk about artificial intelligence, we talk about ethical concerns. The first thing we come in our mind is the ethical concern. But don't you think that, in the projection we are going towards, in the future, don't you think that the ethical concerns themselves are going to be redefined?
It's not just the ethical concerns, it's the awareness, it's the training, it's the revamping of the curriculum, it's the new style of assessment as well. All these go together. And of course, ethical concerns on the boundaries, ethical, academic integrity and ethics would still be there, or on the boundaries all the time.
Assalamu alaikum, ma'am.
All right.
जी जी. Okay.
That should be the last question.
मैम,
That's going to
अपने
be the
पहले
last
जो
question.
पैनल बैठा था उस वक्त कहा था कि स्टूडेंट्स को ऑन द टोज रखना चाहिए 24 और यानी असाइनमेंट और क्विज और वो, लेकिन जब जहां तक हम देखते हैं जो असाइनमेंट और क्विज और वो चीजें हमें मिलती जो पहले बहुत कई यानी एंशियंट तरीका, यानी आप कह सकते हैं कि ऐसे ही असाइनमेंट और क्विजेज और चीजें मिलती है, ऐसे ही वो चीजें मिलती है जो ऑलरेडी बहुत पहले से वो प्रैक्टिस किए जा रहे हैं। तो क्या ये उससे बेस्ट नहीं है कि क्वालिटी पे डिपेंड, क्वांटिटी पे डिपेंड करने से बेहतर है कि कोई एक असाइनमेंट ऐसी दी जाए कि जो क्वालिटी उसकी बहुत ज्यादा बेहतर हो, जो कि ज्यादा स्टूडेंट के साथ क्रिएटिव हो और वो ऐसे कनेक्टेड हो कि हम ओल्ड तरीके भी उसमें स्टूडेंट को यूज करने पड़े, एज वेल एज जो है जो चैट जीपीटी है या मॉडर्न जो टेक्निक्स और डिजिटल तरीकेकार जो है या प्रोसेस जो है, इन सारों को कॉम्बिनेशन पे एक ही असाइनमेंट मिलनी बेहतर है या ऑन द टोज रख के बस असाइनमेंट और क्विज मिलने चाहिए?
I got it. Generation Z. This is what I also mentioned, that this generation likes, it's so globally aware that they want to like those tasks, those projects, which give them hands-on activities, collaborative tasks, creative. And yes, for as a teacher, we have to devise, we have to improvise the assignments or the tasks or the activities that we assign to our students. And then that depends on the university policy and the teacher's own classroom policy, how many assignments they want to give to their students. I cannot comment on that, but I can only say that the teachers have to improvise and be very, very creative with the task that they assign to the student of this age.
Okay, so because we are running short of time, so we have to move forward. Thank you very much, Dr. Akifa, for such an enlightening and interesting session on teaching the teachers. Let's out with the boards. Thank you very much, ma'am.
Thank you very much.
We also extend our heartfelt gratitude to all the participants, panelists, and attendees, both in person and joining us virtually. Your active engagement, and valuable insights have enriched our discourse and contributed to a meaningful exchange of ideas. Thank you all. Now, here we will take a lunch and prayer break. Please be back in your seats by 1:45 p.m. For those who would like to pray, the designated prayer rooms on ground floor, our volunteers would guide you to that. Volunteers are also requested to kindly take our honorable guests, the respected Vice Chancellor, Registrar, Directors, Deans, and English faculty to the refreshment arranged in Library Hall. Volunteers are also requested to take our registered participants and registered presenters to LTC 008 as their lunch has been arranged there. Kindly take the lunch as we are back at 1:45 p.m. Thank you so much. Thank you all.